I heard there was some people out there that was missing me. I heard that I was taking too much time off from you guys. I heard that you guys said that y'all wanted Wolfpack.
You gotta catch the wolf, and it takes a wolf to catch a wolf. You understand?
Bring that back.
To protect the sheep, you gotta catch the wolf, and it takes a wolf to catch a wolf.
I said bring that back.
To protect the sheep, you gotta catch the wolf, and it takes a wolf to catch a wolf. You understand?
And you know what they said also? You know what I was told? I was told that I was told that they wanted to break James every time I came on the show.
Make it publicly clear. Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James, bitch. Make it publicly clear. Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James, bitch. Make it publicly clear. Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick
James, bitch. I heard y'all want that raw. Don't save it for nighttime. Well, let's get into this motherfucking show then. That's what we need to do. I think it's about time. Please do remember that the New Right Party channel and the New Red Party show is sponsored by patriots like you. And as long as you're sending these donations, it allows me to create the content that will continue to make these motherfuckers sick. As you were.
Versus the family and my family entertainment and his team no sleep. Flossy high and yeah we made it. The haters keep on hating on the songs that we be making, and I heard they want my soul Illuminati want to take it. Versus the family and my family entertainment and his team no sleep. Flossy high and yeah we made it. The haters keep on hating on the songs that we be making, and I heard they want my soul Illuminati want to take it.
CEO, bullshit, paying for the pussy, I endorse it, riding through the city, that's my off.
Please do remember that the New Right Party channel and the I like to hear the music still, you know, let that go for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's good to be back, man. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. I'm going to give a shout out to everybody in the building. We are in our second season. We're going to talk about a few things, but we'll save a lot of the discussions and what happened with me not doing InfoWars and everything on tonight's show. But for right now, it's good to be back. Just give me one more. See, I needed to take some time. My birthday was the 21st. Shout out to me. My birthday was the 21st. Yeah, and I just wanted to take some time after my birthday to reflect on some things that I wanted to change, and some things that I don't want to change. There is a lot of content that was erased off this show, and I will definitely talk about that briefly. The content was erased because there is something larger that I am a part of, and I don't want too many negative things to weigh on it. But then I had to think about what it is that I'm a part of, what it is that I'm trying to achieve within myself. And to me, that's more important than trying to help someone else build something. I don't know if I'm making any sense to you, but I'm much more confident in what it is that I have set forward than what I am in anyone else's situation. In every situation that you see me involved in, whether I believe in it or not, I would never believe in it more than what it is that I have in front of me, what it is that I'm able to accomplish and actually get done on my own accord. I will not allow anybody to censor me. The idea is to not be liked. The idea is to present the actual truth, the raw truth. And that's where I'm going with this. I don't know why that's happening. Okay, I get it. I know why it's happening now. Give me a second now. Let me fix this. I'm not going to be censored by anybody. I'm not going to be told what to talk about. I'm not doing that with anybody. It's just that's not going to happen. So I'm not going to be asked what to talk about, what not to talk about. I'm not doing any of those things. Actually, I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. And if I'm on someone's show, I'm going to say what I want to say aside from profanity. Because, of course, on certain shows that, you can't use it.
Will have blood.
So it pained me to have to erase a lot of the stuff that was up because I erased it. And when I did so believing that I was committing the act of greater good. It was being done so other people wouldn't feel like the things that I said and the actions that I took would shed a bad light on them. But at the end of the day, aside from my language, what am I saying that's a lie? I had some trouble, to be honest with you guys. So let's just fuck it. Let's just talk a little bit now. I had some trouble dealing with it personally after I erased all of the content. It bothered me a great deal. So much so it made me question the show. It made me question myself. It made me question a lot of things. More importantly, it hurt. It really, 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 really hurt. It hurt to have a phone call come to my phone and get my ass chewed out. And although it was well deserved, but to have a conference call later that day and then be told to speak up and talk was just kind of like a smack in the face. I get it because my approach in the situation was clearly inappropriate, but I've had to come to the conclusion that the most important asset that I have is my wife and myself. Come 2020, I will be one of the first billionaires that you talk to that established the show on this channel. And currently, I'm doing something that's beyond political activism and talking politics. I'm actually an inventor. I've had countless people try to take my idea from me, showing me that it's worth billions of dollars, and asking me to walk away with mere millions. I've spent years trying to gain capital to be able to build my invention myself. Me and my wife is doing it ourselves right now. The one thing I'm learning in this whole situation is that it's hard to stop the big vote. You hear a lot of people in urban areas refer to, or in rap songs refer to as getting a bag. A bag is just a lump sum payment. It could be $1,000, and some people would consider that a lot of money. But that's not what we consider a lot of money. And the idea isn't for us to take billions of dollars and live a luxurious life. The idea is for us to take this and make sure that the people, all people, are affected by it. The plans that I have are far greater than what I found in anyone's platform. And the platforms that I choose to support are platforms I support, whether they're right sometimes or wrong sometimes. I choose to support them because I understand the bottom line. The president isn't always correct. He made a misannouncement when he said he was giving military a 10% raise. I think it was just like 2 point something or 3%, a 3% raise. But he misspoke. But I understood that the underlying idea was, I didn't forget you guys. I remember you guys. And I'm going to make sure something is coming to you. When people say Trump's Make America Great Again slogan is wrong, I think about the first time I saw it, and I believe I saw it during Reagan's term and during Kennedy's term. So this slogan isn't something that he just manufactured to have white racists come out of the woodworks and put on red hats and beat people up. I'm asking you a question honestly. When is the last time you've ever heard a white mob of MAGA wearing red hats attacking a bunch of Black Lives Matter? Anyone in the audience that chooses to can actually tell me. And what I think I'll do is let's start it. It's never happened. When is the last time you seen white men in red MAGA hats running down the street and punching on black people's cars as they try to drive through the streets? When is the last time you seen white men in red MAGA hats scaring the police so much? You got a state like Portland would stand down and allow them to accost people, elderly people, children, anyone that they choose and felt like. When? Where do you see individuals in MAGA hats protesting and throwing rocks in stores, bottles or rocks through store, paint glass? Where do you see that at? I'm waiting. If you were born after 1999, you don't really know what a real cloud truly looks like, because you spent the majority of your time looking up at chemtrails. Now, it's bigger than just the chemtrails, because chemtrails aren't just aluminum and other metals. These aluminums and other metals, they're there, but there are things besides that in it. There are nefarious things happening. And whether you think that this is an alien invasion, which it could be, what the fuck, I don't know every fucking thing. And I do believe that there is life in other planets. I am not so self-centered that I believe that we are the only planet in all of existence to have a life. But what I do believe is that currently, you hate the low volume on this channel. Let me see how loud I am. Hold on. Hate the low volume. Let me see how That seemed pretty loud to me, Nacho. I believe that it might be your volume. Because on my feedback, I'll play it again. And you hear the feedback. Hold on. I believe that it might be your volume. Because on my feedback, I'll play it again. And you hear the feedback. Hold on. I think that 4 out of 5 others said they don't watch, the volume is low. If 4 out of 5 don't watch because the volume is low, I think that 4 out of 5 others said they don't watch, the volume is low. If 4 out of 5 don't watch because the volume is low, I think that 4 out of 5 So that's the feedback. So if 4 out of 5 people telling you that they don't watch because the volume is low, then 4 out of 5 people is missing the show. And that's what I can tell you. When I hear it back, the shows are clear. When I listen to them, if I play an old show before we start, let me see. Let me play an old show before we start. Let me just hear me. Let me just hear me speak.
Good noon and good morning, because somewhere around the world, that's what time it is. You know, we're going to get into the news and talk about some things and just simplify some things and give you a different perspective on our take of what's going on. But before we get into that, we're going to get into this.
That seems pretty loud to me, Nacho. So I'm going to tell you, maybe you should check your hearing or turn your television up or turn up the volume on your end, because the day that the volume was low, I feel like we fixed that problem. But some days, if it is, it's out of my hands, because I truly have the best equipment you could be recording with and going live with. That we made sure of. So if someone is saying they don't want to tune into the show, when I go and I listen back to them, some of them were low, but the majority of them are not.
Importantly,
well, what I want to talk about anyway is, so if you were born past 1998, 1999, you do not know what real clouds truly look like. When you were coming up, when I was going to school, you had to learn about clouds, because clouds were predictable in shape, patterns, and they allowed you to understand the idea of precipitation. And you could tell by the clouds that you saw just how close you were to having bad weather. Now they're saying that there are new clouds that exist, and they're trying to label these new clouds. Only these are not clouds. These are chemtrails. Now, they'll tell you that they're contrails. They'll tell you that these trails come from jets, but this is, in fact, a lie, because they last hours after the jets have left the area, and they fan out and make predictable patterns. After research has been done on what is being sprayed, there's not only metals being found in it, but engineered red blood cells preserved. That's right. Engineered red blood cells preserved. Yeah, I'm not a loud talker. I don't think that I should have to speak loud. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't like to really raise my voice unless I'm upset. Other than that, I don't like to raise my voice at all. So, why is it red preserved blood cells mixed into chemtrails? Strangely enough, why are the red blood cells manufactured to be preserved? Morgellons disease is real. Some people will tell you that it's not. You have doctors telling people that it's not. It's not real. It's not real. It's not real. It's not real. I'm going to tell you that it's real, but I'm going to tell you that it's not Earth-like. I'm going to tell you that it's not a natural, biological, existing parasite. I'm going to tell you that it's something completely different and not from this planet. I have, and this is just my personal feelings, and if someone believes I'm crazy, then say it in the comment, and we'll get past that. It's a beyond spreading diseases. I believe that this is, there is a terraforming of this planet happening before our very eyes. There is a reason why cloud machines exist to produce clouds in Tennessee, yet, and it makes it rain. Yet these same clouds aren't produced in California where rain is needed in abundance. California is sprayed 2 times more than the Midwest with chemtrails. New York City 3 times more. There is a clear effort to bioengineer people into something totally different, something else. Why is it that so many people are saying, I am, what do they call them? And it's right on the tip of my tongue. I'm sorry, everybody. But people call themselves when they have a good bad mood and they change their dispositions fast. They're called my wife is a doctor. Hey Shannon. It's bipolar. There you go. There you go. There you go. Thank you, Emily. I got it. Bipolar. So some people walk around and they're saying that they're bipolar, that their mood goes up, their mood goes down. I believe that there's something greater than that. I believe that there are things that are affecting us, that are giving us diseases, that are giving us mental instabilities, but that are also allowing our bodies to receive signals and uncontrollably act on them. Thank you, Emily. Here is a documentary that I've watched, and I saw many different documentaries on it, but I found this one to be informative. Magellan's disease isn't a disease. It's a human population fuck over. Let's get into it.
11. This is also, more importantly, she's an expert in chemtrails, weather control, synthetic biology. She's the preeminent researcher in this of what's happening in your skies that affect you on a biological or synthetic level. This is very cutting edge stuff. The dark agenda of synthetic biology. Please, I won't waste any more time. Welcome the very wonderful Sophia Smallstrom.
Thank you. This actually is an hour or so, this presentation. We might not have time for questions, but you can.
We will be doing the second half of this show tomorrow. So This is the first half of it. I had to get in and just discuss some things. Tonight, we're going to have an open discussion. We're going to talk about InfoWars. We'll talk about everything.
You can ask me at the banquet, or you can come to my table tomorrow and ask me as many questions as you like, which I probably won't be able to answer. So the thing about what's going on now is, how big is the big picture? And I used to think that if you went outside the box, you could see more. And a lot of people believe that this settles at the level of power and control. That if they have all the power, they have all the control, that's what they want. There's actually something beyond that, and that's what I started to explore. The big picture. I may be wrong, but I want you to follow the dots that I connect, which are basically in the form of a square. I'll start here, I'll go here, I'll go here, I'll go there, and a shape will be made. The terrain is huge. It's much, much bigger than I ever dreamed of. And so it's about really impressions and perspective. And I had a friend who's now no longer alive, Harriet.
We'll do the call-ins and the talking tonight on tonight's show.
It used to keep me awake at night on the phone and tell me things until 1 o'clock in the morning, notes that she had taken from listening to radio shows. She really taught me how to see. So, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. Now here is a photograph, and here is an impression. So I am going to give you the impressions that I have gathered and see what you think of them by the end of this evening. We're getting new impressions of the sky. Once upon a time, clouds used to be puffy like this. Today, you see a lot of streaks, feathers, and unnatural crisscross configurations. When you look closely at what forms your impression, you can see that this is the impression version. You will see streaks, feathers, more feathers, lines. When you look closely at the lines, you see this. Looking at a collage of lines, with what appears to be a plane. You see ropes in the sky made by planes. Forming a web, a haze. The formation of man-made clouds is admitted to by NASA. They call it jet cirrus. We're told that new atmospheric conditions are causing jet contrails to linger in the sky. But anything that stays in the sky for many hours fans out, as you see here, and forms a layer of material thick enough to block sunlight for miles, is not condensation. The con in contrail is for condensation. So if it isn't condensation, meaning water droplets that under normal circumstances quickly evaporate, then what is it? Here's the result of one. It was a huge donut. This is Cardiff State Beach, where I live, and it literally formed a big oval, a halo in the sky. Contrails typically form behind high-flying jets, so that's high altitude, in low humidity. Clouds typically particulates which are in the air, and these particulates are usually dust or salt. Clouds and rain. Clouds are formed from moisture that evaporates from the Earth's surface, carried upward on air that's warmed by the sun. As the warm air rises, it begins to cool. There's a certain point, they call it the dew point, D-E-W, And at that point, the moisture in the air begins to condense around particulates which are in the air. And these particulates are usually dust or salt. These particulates are called condensation nuclei. They have an affinity for moisture, dust, salt, like water, okay? As more water vapor gathers around the particulates, the combination becomes unstable, which is a raindrop. So we know that particulates in the atmosphere nucleate, meaning they gather into raindrops. Now here's something interesting. Daniel Rosenfeld, he's an atmospheric scientist, Hebrew University, Jerusalem. He claims that pollution particulates actually prevent rain by forming very tiny, very stable droplets that remain suspended and do not fall earthward.
Now, are we understanding why California isn't receiving rain? If he just told you pollutants stop rain from falling, and if I told you that California was it was sprayed 2 times more over than the Midwest, and New York was sprayed 3 times more over than the Midwest, because they do spray in the Midwest too. They do. Not nonstop all day. When you wonder why the snow doesn't melt like it used to, fast like it used to, why it's still there. I mean, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Now this was headlines. You can Google, pollution stops rain. If this is correct, then it suggests that the smaller the particulate, the more stable the droplet. So this is how you would get clouds to hang in the sky as haze, or so-called clouds. And so it would seem that you could create cloud-like masses simply by releasing small enough particulates into the atmosphere. And those clouds would not fall. They would spread outward instead to form haze. Which leads us to the subject of geoengineering, defined as the large-scale manipulation of the Earth's environment to suit human needs and promote habitability. Last year, scientists began to discuss something called SAG, stratospheric aerosol geoengineering, which was supposedly spraying soot and sulfates in the atmosphere to form a shield against the heat of the sun. This presumes the notion of man-made warming, the idea being that atmospheric science can rescue us from climate change, which is nature's retaliation against us for creating global warming. For now, we're told that this is a future consideration, but for years, we've already been seeing strange clouds and hazy skies. What exactly is dripping here? This is a photo I took, Cardiff, California, and I call these the bearded clouds. And here you have this new form, they tell us, new form of cloud, a hooked cloud called cirrus uncinus. And here you have asperatus. This is like the canopy effect, blanket. This is another picture I took. I'd never seen this kind of cloud before. I'd only seen photos of it, and then it suddenly appeared. The presence of strange clouds, persistent haze, and impaired visibility is not just in the air and sky. It must be having an effect on the ground, on the earth's soil and water. Francis Mangles is a retired federal wildlife biologist and botanist from Mount Shasta. And he notes that between the 1950s and 60s, jets did not leave many contrails. Today, what appear to be jet contrails are much more frequent and last for 10 to 20 hours. And here's what they look like over these beautiful mountains and lakes. Now this would make a lovely view, don't you think? Counting all trails in every direction over Mount Shasta, Mangles says, the FAA indicates there can't be that many flights per day. The number has been as high as over 30 contrails at once, and I've counted 100 just before weather fronts. Typically, heavy spraying days are just before weather fronts that come in from the Pacific. So here you have a photo of this man who is a retired federal wildlife biologist and a water specialist. Lab tests from Northern California show very high levels of aluminum and barium in soil and pond water. Francis Mangles told me that at 100 micrograms per liter, when he was working for the federal government, you were shut down. 1,000 micrograms per liter. So I asked him what normal is, what's tolerable, and he said 0.5, 0.5 micrograms per liter is considered normal. So here you have the findings from pond water in Mount Shasta. You can see 12,000 micrograms per liter. UG is short for microgram, which is 24,000 times normal. Snowdrift at 8,000 feet, 61,100 micrograms per liter. Way, way past normal. And here you have a lined pond. So please picture a lined pond. A pond with a liner, vinyl something, in Bella Vista. And you got a reading, or the person who did this, I know him, Dane Wigington, got a reading 375,000 micrograms per liter in this little pond. Mangles has I will repeat, a master's of science in water-related subjects. And he also reports that a house, the soil tested outside this house in Northern California was 3,000 micrograms of aluminum more than the soil under the house. I'm sorry, I said 3,000 times. Anyway, so what does this mean? It means that something is dropping from above and is affecting the soil around the house, but not underneath it. So you can't say that this is in the groundwater. You can't say this is in the earth itself, coming from the earth. It's got to be coming from the environment. The dying of the trees. I've spoken to Charles Little. He's the author of this absolutely fantastic book, which you can buy still by going to half.com or Amazon used books. It is about the natural or biotic reasons for tree death, and also the effects of industry and deforestation, which began decades ago. When manufacturing exploded, acid rain, different forms of pollution started to affect trees. But what has come along since this book was written is this. Nowadays, we have an effect coming out of the environment that can't possibly be natural. Look at this corkscrew. I took this picture myself. This is the wine opener style. You have nature trying to cope with the introduction of new substances, particularly metallic oxides, which are also the metallic salts. Living things, as I said before, the metallic salts have an affinity for water. So living things take up these salts along with the water that they're seeking. The natural world, which gets its food from the ground, is sucking this stuff up. This is a scraggly pine tree outside the post office in Cardiff, California, where I go every day. And you can see how brittle it is, lots of needles lost. If you look closely at the needles when you stand under the tree, you see that they're all frosted with brown. Signs of tree death are these sagging limbs, these leafless, scraggly branches. You also see infestation by bugs, insects, mites, fungus. These are spider mites that have taken up in a tree that was right next to my house. The entire tree had to be felled because of these white webs in it that were killing off the tree. But again, I'll explain why in a minute. This isn't the primary source of the death. Here you have a phenomenon that Deborah Whitman, who's here with us today, has done a lot of research on. The white, we call it the tube sock effect on trees. You see white bark, and when we tested the bark of this tree, it had these readings, aluminum 387. Now this is milligrams per kilogram because this is a mass analysis rather than a liquid context. So you have barium at 18.4, strontium 113, and titanium 15.2. You can see again in these photos the enormous scorched look. That's a very dying, very unhealthy tree, and
so why is the trees dying? The trees are dying. Well, let me make sure something real quick.
That's a very dying, very unhealthy tree, and
so why is the trees dying? The trees are dying. I just want to make sure that everything was clear. So why are the trees dying? The trees are dying because they're being killed. They're being killed by the chemtrails. So California is having a problem with the trees and the rain. And people are wondering, why don't we get rain in California? But it's clear the scientists already know that pollution in the air permits rain from occurring. It's also known by scientists that this fucking aluminum is pouring from the fucking sky on people, and people are just denounced to it. They don't fucking know. They just don't know what's going on, but it's just pouring the fuck on them. The soil outside of their home is filled with fucking aluminum and other crazy shit in it, and under their house is not. Just think about it. All the trees that's in the forest that die, they're not supposed to take long to break down. If you know biology, then you know when a tree dies that it breaks down. All matter breaks down. Bugs, they go on it, they reproduce it, and they break the matter down. Nature makes it that way because it turns the dead into a food source for the living. This doesn't happen. It's not happening in California. Trees are dying and they're staying dead. And they're there for 20 years. 10 years. It's highly likely that a kid living in Humboldt, California have seen the same tree dead in his area for 15 years. And that fucking tree is still fucking there. He can still sit on it. It's snowing here where I'm at right now too. It's snowing a lot. But where I'm at, I'm over here by the military base by the spring, so I don't see any chemtrails. We don't see any chemtrails.
Obvious answer. Metallic salts have made our air conductive. This means that we and everything around us can transmit and propagate energy. The air is no longer neutral. It no longer supports, in a healthy way, living things. The second group of materials found in these environmental samples is unidentifiable fibers. And I really want you to appreciate the
Morgellons. Now you see, let's get to it.
Meaning of unidentifiable. These fibers have been sent to sophisticated laboratories, and there is nothing in the databases that match them. So these are fibers, we could say, that do not exist in nature. People around the world are developing lesions on their skin that ooze and produce fibers. This is known as Morgellons syndrome. Tissue samples cultured from ordinary people without this ailment contain and grow the very same fibers. Here's a 5-inch lesion on a woman's body that has never healed. 5 inches. The fibers or filaments are actually tubules with hollow insides. When these fibers are cultured, they produce colonies of filaments. You can see the extension filaments. And these colonies continue to grow and reproduce, branching out into more filaments and more colonies. The filament cultures can be grown from saliva samples, tissue from the skin, mucus, urine, blood, from animals and people, regardless of the presence of the Morgellons condition. The fibers are segmented with visible structures inside them. So where do these fibers or filaments come from. Airborne environmental samples that were collected by Clifford Carnicom, he is a researcher in this subject, in 2000, the year 2000, gathered at high altitude on a mountain in New Mexico, showed the presence of those fibers, whose structure matches exactly the tubular filaments. When I say fibers and filaments, basically interchangeable, showing up in our blood, tissues, and skin. Additionally, the samples collected by Mr. Carnicom showed what he calls, and was called in biology, desiccated erythrocytes. This is a multisyllabic term, but it means dried red blood cells. So, why these were in the air? Why are dried red blood cells in the air? Very puzzling. A medical microscopist, a biologist specializing in microscopy, confirmed to him that they were human red blood cells, but that they had been engineered in some way so as to be preserved.
So, let me tell you what I've been putting together. My tinfoil hat on now. Yes, black privilege does exist. Only when liberals allow you to use it. Let me break this down to you. Why the fuck are there red dry blood cells in the atmosphere along with these unknown fibers which reproduce themselves and reproduce red blood cells? Why is it that these fibers survive in tissue samples, saliva samples, and blood samples? Because all of them have red blood cells in them. That's why. It's the truth.
So again, you have to ask yourself, if I were 5 years old, I would say, Mommy, what are red blood cells doing?
Why is it such a need to abort so many babies? Why is there a need to abort so many babies? Why is it that when the tissue is being sold, none of the people who buys tissue or sells the tissue is arrested? Do you know cattle on a farm eat all day and shit all day? And to them, life is good. Food is brought to them. The pens are cleaned up. They're free to roam. They have large areas to roam in some cases. But what they don't understand is that one day someone's going to eat them. One day someone's going to kill the cow. And they're going to skin it. And they're going to cut it up. And they're going to grind it up. They're going to eat it. What is it that you guys aren't seeing? I'm just asking you. Why is it that these topics aren't really talked about? They're terraforming the fucking planet. Why is there a group of individuals hell-bent on controlling everything in the human race? Why are they hell-bent on eradicating the human race as a whole? All humans come from Africa. Doesn't matter what color you are now. But there are an existing group of beings on this planet that do not come from Africa. The Neanderthal is not a human. The Neanderthal is not a human. And some scientists believe that the humans that migrated out of Africa mixed with Neanderthals, and this is how some Neanderthals came about to integrate with humans, because Neanderthals couldn't mate with humans, but humans could mate with Neanderthals, meaning a male could fuck a female and produce a child. But here is where I have problems with that, because when a tiger and a lion produces a child, the child is sterile. See, those are two felines, and they can breed and produce one baby, but that baby almost always comes out sterile. Almost always. So if all humans come out of Africa, and Africa at the time wasn't in the place that we find it now, what you don't understand is that this whole world that we live in was once one continent called Pangea. The human race has been around a lot longer than these people are telling you. There's a lot of technology that's been here forever because everything has been here forever. Nothing is discovered. Nothing is new under the sun. Everything's already been here. There are people just finding ways themselves to use what's here. But why is there red blood cells in the air being produced with aluminum and everything else? Why is it that these fibers feed off of red blood cells, altering humans and actually killing them? So many people are caught up in what's happening with politics that they're forgetting that there's an actual war against people, against the human population, against people that are living and breathing right now. We're going to get into the rest of this tomorrow on our show because I want to break down some dots that I have. Whereas I conclude now in saying that I agree with the majority of things that she's saying, but to some degree I don't agree with her conclusion. My conclusion is a little bit different than hers, and when we get to the end of this tomorrow, we will break it down and talk about it. There's a culling happening right now. A culling. This is a chewing of the fat, trimming off the fat, and this is a part of it. This is truly a part of it. Yeah, most of it does come from a bone. Okay. I want to do something. I need 30 seconds of you guys' time. You know how I gotta give it up. I gotta give it up. I want to make sure these guys get this look. Give me 1 second.
You know I'm big on fashion. Check out srgfashion.com for the best suits you can get. Look great being conservative. And also, check out dogspurpose.com for job placement programs as well as vocational training for the future. Stay American.
All right. Just wanted to give them a quick shout out. Yes, I'm breaking out the fucking notebook. All right. I'm breaking out the notebook. I gotta break out the notebook. We gotta get back to the essence of the show. It's just not breaking down and exposing the globalists, but exposing the plots that they have against us and talking about how we can protect ourselves from this shit and exposing this and then passing this information on so other people can actually see it and then ask themselves, what the fuck is really going on? What the fuck is really going on? I'm about to start the second part of my channel, which is on Twitch, where I'll be in virtual reality killing people for cryptocurrency. I guess some of the episodes will come to this channel, but there's another channel within this channel. It's a sub channel on this channel. But some of the matches should be popping up here too. If you guys are on the PlayStation Network and you think you're a killer, you believe you have what it takes. The game is called Firewall 0 Hour. It allows you to become a mercenary. With the group of other mercenaries, you will complete a group of 4. you will have to go attack another group of 4 individuals and kill them and steal the information off their laptop. Or they're coming to kill you to steal the information off of your laptop. This game is incredible. And the one thing I love about it is I mean, Nacho, you are in my stream asking me about my channel, talking about my channel, talking about my shit. I should block you, but I don't care. Like, I don't care. It's funny how you're asking me now, but you've been plugging your shit since you've been in my joint. Like, you've literally been plugging your shit since you've been in my joint. Since I've been doing my show and I've seen you start coming in my show, you've been plugging your show. It's funny you ask now. You tell your husband he can find me. All right. The Twitch channel is the New Right Party. There's something that I'm trying to do outside of just this channel. There are other parts of me outside this channel. And what you'll find is a lot of people that I'm meeting online are proud conservatives. And I mean, even Muslim conservatives. Like I have a Muslim friend that I play with often who's a Trump supporter, who's against all of that Sharia shit. Like a lot of people, there are some passionate Christians. There are some erratic Christians. There are some terroristic Christians. I mean, look at Marilyn Manson. He believed he was Jesus. He believed he was a Christian. Look what he did. There are actually good people out there that don't want to be owned, that don't want to be slaves, that want to live good lives. There are people out there that don't want to see their religion tarnished by individuals with sick ideas of what it's supposed to be, as if God is talking to them directly, and we're all not able to read the same book. No real Muslim believes that you and I are responsible for the shit that's happening in their country, because they understand just as much as they control their government, we're having the same fucking issues over here. So that's first and foremost. So when people tell you death to America, and you have people out there trying to blow up innocent Americans, that's not the religion of Islam. It's not. That's the religion of fanatics. That's the religion of people who are blind to hate and not open to discussion. Those are people who are not brave enough to deal with the individuals running their governments, so they need someone else to blame it on. The one thing I learned about being in the street game, before I get up out of here, because we got 2 minutes and I'm going to tell you this shit and be quick with it. Nobody in the streets that I saw die would have died if they wasn't in the streets. Hear me out. When people sell drugs in the streets, and I lost homies and they died, did they die because they were going to work and they were feeding their families and they were minding their business? No, they died because they was in the street selling drugs. Now, are there occasions where some innocent people die? All day, all the time. But if you compare the innocent dying to those who are actually involved in felonious acts, the comparison is bar none. You can't compare the two ever. You're more frequent to find yourself burnt when you're playing with fire. You're more frequently finding yourself in a car accident if you drive all day long. I'm trying to tell you this to tell you that these countries that are being bombed by us were once in business with us first. They were once in business with us, and whether it was to sell out their countries or to try to destroy the one that we live in, they found themselves in business. The people of these countries aren't going to their political representatives, their kings, their dictators, and they're not pushing the issue themselves. Instead, they're being pussies and they're blaming it on us like it's our fault. Like it's our fault that the people that run the side of where you are allowing this shit to happen to you that you're not fucking blaming is somehow not responsible. But we're responsible because we react to the business dealings of the individuals that you let have power. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay American. And remember, fuck the other side, bitch. We don't care.